helps if I take us off mute. All right. How's everybody doing today? As always, I'm Brad, that's Mike, this is Kyla, and our friend David over here, who is trying to kill Mike, appropriately so. And we are Dallas Geek, your source for all of the latest nerdy news and geek culture. So thank you so much for joining us today, and if it looks like things are a little bit different than usual for our returning viewers, they are. This is our Halloween special. If we have not hyped it up enough until now, that's a shame on us, because this is one of our favorite times of the year. Mike, how you doing? You surviving over there with a certain somebody? Yeah, you good?
Just after all the crap that he's put me through over the years, it's just appropriate that he's going to be the one to do me in, I guess.
I mean, yeah. Kyla, you doing all right?
I'm doing great, Lucy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Not quite as hot as where I'm from, but you know, it's okay.
The humidity here will get you.
Yeah. I do hear it's the humidity, not the heat, right? But, you know, who am I to talk? And David, how you doing?
Thumbs up, thumbs down. There we go. 2 thumbs up.
Wow.
That's more from Michael than I've ever seen before.
Thank you. Are you going to be able to eat with Here, can we
We good over there? You good? You good? Okay. I guess that's a sign that everybody's doing good, so let's just jump into it.
I'm waiting to see how long you're going to stay committed and stay in mask.
Well, I guess we're going to find out. So, guys, with the Halloween episode, we are going to be going in and having a little bit of fun, but specifically...
Wait, hang on.
What?
The Halloween episode? You got to be more excited than that.
Okay, well, what is the...
It's spooky season.
Oh my gosh, it's the Halloween Spectacular.
Yeah, no, that's about right. But yeah, so what are we talking about today, Mike?
That's a great question, Brad. What are we talking about?
Wow.
No. So we are going to be going down the list of what we think are characteristics that make fantastic horror movies, make great horror movies, make all-time horror movies. And then we're going to tell you what our all-time top horror movie is. I agree with Zim's. I think yours is a fantastic pick. Spoilers on what his might be.
Well, you know.
I know I personally have that up there. That's like my 1A or 1B. My choice is, well, we'll get into that in a little bit, but I think Zim would agree with my choice as well.
Yeah. Do you? Do you now? Because I feel like he's a little biased. No? Maybe?
All right, enough of that. Listen, I can only sit here and stay in character. I know. Isn't it always scary? I look better with the mask on. This is much more terrifying.
It is.
Yeah, I think you guys are off to a great start. It was the first Halloween candy I've actually had for the season. I gotta
Do you hate yourself or something?
You're a father. You're supposed to be doing better than this.
It's called, once you get as fat and old as I am, like the whole idea of like getting into the gym becomes more out of life saving than it does out of looking good.
It's true.
I mean, so all I'll say is this though. I do have one question for Mike. I'm glad that he likes my pick and all, but clearly he's on my side. And whatever he says today about his so-called favorite Halloween movie isn't real.
Horror movie.
Look at horror movie.
Because
look at your T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tells you everything. Thank you.
It's the boogeyman.
Yeah, exactly right. By the way, I gotta give credit, okay?
Hang on, I'm not the one that said in our group chat, and I quote, "I'm picking this so Mike can't steal my idea."
Did I say that?
Yes,
you.
I'm picking this so Mike can't steal my idea.
Or the exact. Hang on, I'll find it.
Wait, of my film or what I was dressed as?
No, your film.
Well, no, because everybody knew what I was picking because mine hasn't changed before you guys were born. So,
Wait, dang, that's not
but
fair
you
that
wouldn't
you're...
have chosen
That's
it.
not fair that you're older than dirt.
Wait a minute. First of all.
Oh my.
No, don't worry about it, everyone. First of all, let's be honest, and Brad can back me up because he's known Mike the second longest on this table. Brad, Is it not true that when we get to Mike's favorite, it is going to be the same favorite that he has gone through, like me, every year for the past however many years?
I'm sorry, did you say I'm the one that knows him the second longest?
Yeah. I mean, first longest, sorry. Yeah, I take that back. First long, my fault.
Are you two about to fight over my
at this
love?
point,
Like, what's about to happen
At this point, I
here?
practically
I'm
know
the one
boys
that shares a
six
lease
inches
with
in
him.
blue.
You notice that my hands are always visible over the
Yes, yes.
So again,
Mine are
Brad,
not.
can you back me up on that? He has had I might need to put the mask back on. Wow. You guys ever seen one of these?
Oh my God, no.
Okay. So
What's the accent?
I'm waiting to break
Why does it
Brad.
look like that?
You might need to go
Old,
get that checked.
elder
Oh,
age.
yes, that's right.
Okay, Brad, can you back me up? So Mike can't say that I stole anything because he has had numerous of these shows. This is now our, how many years have we been doing this?
This is our fifth.
Fifth? And
Yes.
Mike has had at least 5 years to change his mind on his, and he never has.
No.
So I think that's a fair rebuttal. Yeah.
We'll hear arguments.
So I will
Okay.
I'm also of the belief that you can have a best horror but not a favorite. They can be separated between the two.
I like the way you think, Kyle.
So let me just put that
or
out
you can
there.
just have a very controversial pick and, see how people react.
Controversial or
Get that,
stupid?
get that damn knife ready.
No. Controversial. Absolutely controversial.
Tell yourself that.
That's
Brad.
why we're
Shit out of
here.
you.
By the way, can anybody tell me which one this mask is from?
Is that?
Because
This is a specific. This is
It's
not the first. That's your
Four?
first clue. Now you have like 12 to choose from.
Yeah, right.
And it's definitely not the third. And
Yeah.
do we know why it's not the third?
Because
Doesn't have
that
Mike
is
third
Myers.
is trash.
That's not true. There is a sighting in the third one of Mike Myers.
Is it
Let's
a-
not forget.
Is it
Halloween is on the TV screen
That
in the
is-
bar.
well-
Which one?
4?
No. This is
Ew,
number
where's
two.
Cody? Is Cody in the
It is two,
comments?
yeah.
Cody would know.
This is 2.
Is it 2? Okay.
There
What's
you go.
more terrifying, my face, Michael Myers' face, or William Shatner's face?
That's a great question.
Hold on, wait.
And I mean currently.
I was going to say current William Shatner is the scariest.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
That bastard.
That is hilarious. That is a mold of William Shatner's face.
I know.
Really is.
Just
Carpenter is a
distressed and
genius.
paled out.
I mean,
Well,
what's
distressed
scarier?
kind of describes him these days.
All right.
But,
Yeah, let's get it. Let's try to get it back on the
Emotionally or
rails.
physically?
yes. But
We're 8 minutes in and we're already
to get a little
long
bit
off
you
into
guys
the
wanna
woods.
say back on track.
Yeah, we
yeah,
should say where we are.
Yeah, we are at Madness Games and Comics.
in Plano.
In Plano, as we've been hyping up all week. And of course,
It's where I come to visit my money.
About the owners that let us do this as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and who are the owners, Mike?
Well, the Chris is a
Mike? The Chris's?
The Chris's.
Just the Chris's?
That's
Chris and
how
Chris?
I know them.
You mean Hemsworth and Evans?
No,
No? Different Chris's?
different Chris's.
They're pleasant like Hemsworth and Evans.
They
Though.
are though.
Yeah, that's fair. They are pretty wonderful people.
There's a lot of action going on in here, guys. I'm trying to stay focused for your Dallas Geek fans.
Do you realize
but
all
I gotta
four of
tell
us-
you, we got card games, we got Starbucks drinking, we got babies, we got
Coffee.
wearing masks still that aren't Halloween masks. We got, I'm sensory overload.
I was like, you
would
realize
agree.
all 4 of us have ADHD, right?
Yep.
Do you understand that for me to right now see the pop wall in my peripheral and not go over there is like this is like taking an alcoholic, literally putting the whiskey to their lips and saying, "None for you."
Yeah,
my-
you're saying this, but remember, of the 4 of us here, Mike is in a much, much worse position than you.
No.
Really? You're saying that you are not?
Yeah, you
the one
are
with
in a
worse
better
addiction?
position than me, Mike.
No, his pop collection's bigger than mine.
Oh yeah, you don't know that.
Yeah.
Well over 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I'm embarrassed. I just said that on
mine and-
national, whatever.
Mine and Mike's collection combined together is the size
National
of Zim's.
whatever.
So
I don't know what we call this online social media. Well, I can tell you what I won't call it anymore. My first choice is Twitter.
I might actually get a Twitter now.
Oh, shocking! Shocking!
So to
That's
get
right.
Oh, by the way, that's my nephew right there who's standing there watching you guys. Javon, say hello.
Hello.
Good. I didn't know. Did you have your pupils dilated, or are you a famous movie star today?
So to get back on track just a little bit, talking about the best horror movie of all time, and yes, there is only one.
Showgirls.
True. I mean, that's pretty terrifying. But
Thank you for getting the reference, Brad.
But no. We are going to actually get around to trying to see what is the best of all time. And we already have over in the comments on YouTube, Stephen Todd jumping in saying that we're talking about context of the greatest of all time. You can't go wrong with Nosferatu.
Yeah,
Which
actually, I
is
was
fair.
talking about that movie
That's
literally
totally
last week. Actually, didn't y'all also mention it? Did you talk about it during your live stream when you talked about
We've done
Werewolf by Night?
we've done so many of these that I don't remember.
We talked Boris Karloff.
How did you not
We
bring
talked
up?
Boris Karloff. We did not talk Nosferatu.
How did you not bring up Nosferatu?
That's a very good question.
Because I even brought it up while we were watching the film.
That's
Did
a
I
very good
not?
question.
You did.
I did.
I still stand by the fact that John Malkovich and what's his name? Come on, great actor Willem Dafoe is the greatest Nosferatu of all time.
Yeah.
Playing Nosferatu,
Yeah.
he's my favorite.
Just Willem Dafoe in general is pretty great.
I mean,
so-
yeah, exactly. As is Malkovich. I don't know how you beat that combo.
I mean, yes.
Was that not a great movie? You never saw it, did you?
No, I did. Sorry, I just kind of zoned out there for a second. Sorry.
That's the ADHD kicking
Thanks
in.
for putting
Yep.
me over here, guys, on this side
My
of the
bad.
table.
I also heard John Malkovich, and I just, thought, don't splash the pot.
So to be honest, we were trying to like partner costumes together. So we had like Michael Myers with like the Michael Myers shirt, and then the tarot card with like the witch, and then like the witch with like Lucy. So
Yeah, don't act like we actually planned this. This was just dumb
no,
luck.
this is it was pure luck, and then we planned it to be sat like this.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's right.
Gotcha.
So that's why you're all the way over there. Sorry, Zim.
I've been last my whole life.
Just waiting for pay him. Pay that's me and his money.
Well,
Here's my offering for the
Great
week, by the way,
movie. Such
Lucy.
an underrated movie.
Don't you like sweets?
Did you just say it?
I mean,
rounders?
I gave you that pile of
yeah,
books
did you
last week.
Wait, did you just say?
Did you just add to rounders? Oh.
As an offering.
I agree
As
with you
an
on that.
offering.
That's
Yeah.
a it.
No, as an
Yeah.
offer.
That is a it.
I gave him a pile of books last week for my offering, so I
Okay,
have a little leeway
but
this
I
week.
must tell you, I think Skittles are the most overrated candy of all time.
You can bite me.
No.
They are the most overrated candy
No.
ever. You know what Skittles are? Skittles are for people who hate themselves. That's what it is.
Oh, you would know a lot about that, wouldn't you?
So just in case, it does look like we may be having a little bit of an internet slowdown. If you do see any jumping or skipping of the video right now, we apologize. Internet's a
Brad's
little
fault.
choppy
Brad's
sometimes
fault.
here, but
Brad's
that's,
fault.
that's okay. We are kind of trying to push the limits on this one.
All right.
But
Let's get back to it.
yes.
I gotta say, Brad does win the award though for the best makeup. It's not even close. Brad's makeup is awesome. Like, I would definitely have Brad come over and do my makeup.
There's
if
so
I was
much-
going to ever put that kind of effort into like can you keep your vibes, like your hater vibes, down for about 5 seconds?
Wow.
No.
I was giving him a huge compliment that he deserves. Great makeup, Brad.
No.
You can do my Halloween makeup anytime.
I'm a professional hater.
We know.
Yeah, that's fair. So
I'll tell you what I told you last night. How are you hating outside the club? You can't even get in.
So to jump into it, guys, what is it that actually makes a great horror film? Because obviously you have so many
Nudity.
different genres. You have your slashers, you have your hauntings,
Oh, that
your
sounds
generic
familiar.
supernaturals, you have your suspense
Monster
and
films.
thrillers.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
But your monsters.
John
but
Carpenter.
What, in your opinion, makes a great horror film?
So that's a really interesting question, I think, because I think, like you and I, Kyla, were talking about this last night when we were watching your pick, and then we watched my pick.
Oh, you guys watched these both last night?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
We had a nice 4-hour movie
I
marathon
bet you
last
did.
night.
Was there any? Did you put a little adult candy spin on the double feature?
no, we were way too tired.
Oh, you guys are almost married.
God damn it.
No, go ahead. I don't want to.
It's fair.
Throw you
fair.
off.
So go ahead and what were you saying?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, thanks.
No problem.
Thanks. No, so I think it's a really interesting question because I think the horror genre is so encompassing for so many different things. Like we were talking, like I don't necessarily think your pick is like a true horror movie. I thought it was more like suspense psychological.
Which is a type of horror.
Right, but I wouldn't classify it as like a traditional like horror movie in the sense of like a Halloween or like a Scream where like there's jump scares and there's, you know, things that are actually, you know, driving things that are actually driving things that are actually making your imagination kind of run wild and go with that.
I have finally figured out the best way to answer this question. And because we've all dealt with the fact that I'm
he's wrong.
It's true.
That I know that, you know, Moses wasn't good in the sack, and onward and upwards. That's how old I am. We'll just keep going on that. I knew
am
it.
so confused about where this is going.
No. But I was going to say that for years and years and years, of being asked that kind of a question, I have finally, here on Dallas Geek, our 5th Halloween version that we've done together, I have found the best way to fill you guys into my opinion on what I think makes a great horror film. So stick with me just for a minute, okay?
He really is. I feel like he's trying to bury the lead on this one.
I promise I'm not. When I saw Jaws, and I was scared, get into my swimming pool, and know that there is no rational possible way that in that swimming pool is a 25-plus foot great white shark.
I'm sure there could be.
And that's one way to look at it. Crazy talk.
She is a woman.
And no, Kyla's brilliant. And my stop being a hater. And my opinion is, so I want you guys to tell me what you think. I value your opinions.
Do you?
I think I do. I think that a great horror film is when you know that rationally, realistically, any sort of place that we are, I'm not even going to let it deter my focus right now. We'll talk about it momentarily. I'm not going to let it deter my focus. That it doesn't even matter.
Yep.
And you're still so terrified, so scared. You're still pulling the closet open and turning on the light to make sure that the boogeyman's not around the corner. And you know that the zombie's not coming up to attack you, but you're still checking around areas that you feel very comfortable with in your house. And it doesn't matter how unrealistic, how ridiculous, how crazy, and that you're still terrified beyond belief and disturbed and startled. That is my definition of a great horror film.
So again, I go back to my previous statement.
Is that not good?
Showgirls.
No, because that is very realistic. There are plenty of bad actresses and people that were on Saved by the Bell that had to get on the pole.
Unfortunately, I do actually agree with Zim because I actually have my answer already locked and loaded. I was going to say like a good horror film is something that sticks with you even after the fact. Of the idea of like it's something that it carries over, kind of like either your imagination running wild afterwards, something that like makes you feel uncomfortable way after the fact.
Yeah.
Like my pick, which we'll get to in a minute, or I guess later, not necessarily in a minute, but my pick, so much so it stuck with me because the next time I saw the main villain, if you will, from my movie and the next movie I watched with him in it, I was so uncomfortable I had to take a 30-minute break from watching the movie. Like that's how uncomfortable it made me feel. So like I would agree with it has to be something that sticks with you, but I would also add it needs to have a believable protagonist is like my other thing I would add to that.
Yeah.
I like that kind.
Okay. Brad, what do you think? Yeah, I don't care what you think, Brad.
I do.
That's always your bid. Hold on.
Brad, I have no problem. This is the moment. Everybody's watching, and I think everyone will pretend that there are no witnesses and they were all just hitchhikers.
Would you know that I did bring a gun to this knife fight?
Yes, and it's probably in your pocket because we know it's never that large.
This is also why we put you by Zim.
Look at Kyla looking at her, Kyla going, he's not wrong.
So the way I see horror movies, you have so many options to choose from, but ultimately the thing that makes a great horror movie is not how violent was it or how bloody was it, the number of jump scares. It is how much did it tap into that primal fear that we all have of the things that we don't know and understand.
Hey, you should tell that to Rob Zombie then.
Takes us out of our... Yeah, but you know
fair.
what? But that's not fair.
Anyone in the Saw
It is because
franchise?
his direct quote was they should be gory and they should make you
But I don't buy
disgusted.
that. But I don't buy that because, well, gory and disgusted is his own opinion, but I think House of a Thousand Corpses...
Terrible.
Well,
I don't agree with that, but I also don't think that was just a
admitted
gory.
that House of a Thousand Corpses was trash.
I don't agree
Even
with him.
he said that.
But I don't agree with him.
So the way
I think it's a good film.
the problem with so many horror movies, especially modern horror movies, is that instead of trying to tap into something that we all fear or something that we
Psychological.
don't understand, we don't know, and trying to give voice to that thing that we don't understand, so many modern horror movies go back and just keep hitting the same tropes over and over again. They keep coming back to hit the same jump scares, the same, oh, it's scary because you got the quiet killer with the big knife and the chainsaw and the
That's not
blood.
really
And
quiet.
But I thought you were going to
all
go...
the stuff that you look at and go, okay, yeah, no, that's scary if you just are afraid of dying, but that's
But
not
I thought
really...
you were going to go. I thought you were going to go a different way. I agree with you that it's a cop out, but I think, Brad, it's a cop out also with what Mike was just saying, which is, for example, all you've been hearing about for the I don't know about you, but in the circles that I listen to as far as horror films go, all I've been hearing out in the last week is Terrifier 2, Terrifier 2, Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. To me, that is another perfect example. Look, I respect any artist puts forth work, and it doesn't have to be my type of taste, and I will respect them putting the work in and the effort and whatever.
That's fine.
But to me, Terrifier is a perfect example of the cop-out that people took with Saw and people took with Hostel in the so-called torture porn category.
Yeah.
Where they didn't give respect
Bordering on
to
snuff
those
film.
films from the psychological standpoint that Brad is talking about, to make a bunch of rip-off mockeries where it's just, let's be as gory and gruesome, disgusting as possible, and somehow that makes a good horror film.
Well, and the thing is, if you go back and look at like the classic horror movies, like the old black and white, your Nosferatu, your Wolfman, your thing from the Black Lagoon.
Abbott and Costello meet the Invisible Man.
All of those, if you look at it by modern standards,
Maybe we should have separated them. Continue, I'm sorry.
all of those by modern
Wizard of
standards
Oz.
do not really
On the first half.
feel
The
like they
Banksy
should
Charlie
be
and the
horror
Chocolate
movies,
Factory?
but they are great horror movies in context because they still go in and they go after the thing that we all fear, the thing that we don't understand. Even now, looking back at it, in context, something like Nosferatu absolutely taps into that fear of what we don't understand. That thing that goes bump in the night. The thing from the Black Lagoon taps into that fear of, you are outside in the woods, in the swamp, in the dark, and what just made that sound?
What is the brilliance? What is
Mike's
the
film made that
brilliance?
sound, by the way.
What is the true brilliance of Blair Witch Project? Right? It's not that it's found footage. It's not that it was shot on a camcorder. People want to believe that because they did a million movies that were just like that.
Yep.
What is it? It's that other than a set of teeth, don't see anything really.
Yeah.
And
No, you see
it's
the little,
what.
you see the little stick thing.
Oh, but a stick thing.
as
I'm
far
talking
as
exactly. That's my
yeah.
point. Is that you could walk out in the forest right now and see a million things that could scare you like that.
Yeah.
It's the psychological. It's what you don't see. And it lets the human brain
Yeah, let's the imagination.
marinate something
Yep.
scarier than you could ever put on film.
Which is why Blair Witch Project needs to keep being put up there as
Absolutely.
one of the best of all
Absolutely.
time because
Actually, it
it
almost became
really
my best,
does such a good
I'm
job.
surprised.
Yeah, and people crap all
giving
over it.
everybody that
Because it's so-
fear
it's-
without the gimmick.
Yeah.
Revolutionary.
Yes,
it
yeah,
was
absolutely.
revolutionary.
Absolutely
it
it
really
was.
was. And
Well,
people
and we don't-
focus on the wrong reason it was revolutionary, and that's what frustrates me.
Exactly.
Where they miss the greatest things about it weren't the way it was shot. Yeah, that was great.
Shocker, this movie is not actually on any of our
Wasn't the-
list, but it is
Right.
up there. So.
Wasn't the way that they sold it and marketed it, which was also brilliant, of the people, really disappearing.
Yeah.
It was the fact that they said no to all the big Hollywood companies because they wanted to do it their way.
They shot
not
it for
with
like
big actors.
$300,000.
They shot it.
Yeah.
They spent almost no money on it. Oh, and by
They
the
literally
way,
just went out into the woods in
Wait a
like
minute.
West Virginia and filmed it.
and what other film kind of did something similar to that with a low budget and an independent marketing?
Yep.
And we're still talking about it, and
Over
hyping it
40
right.
years later. Yeah.
Just going to point out
So we
that
had 40
that's
was
to me
78.
that's brilliant.
78?
It was 78.
It's incredible.
Sorry, 44?
Yeah. Well, and then look, and like without Blair Witch, you don't get something like Paranormal Activity, which also doesn't get the respect that it deserves because of how well it was
I
made.
agree. Paranormal Activity was
The first one.
the first one.
Specifically
I would
the
even
first
say,
one.
I would say
I'd
the
say-
first three were good.
I was gonna say, I'd say first two, third one, it starts where it gets a little shaky for me personally. But first two for sure did something that, like I said, very reminiscent of Blair Witch Project and like the found footage. Kind of like you don't see anything, like you just see like crap flying.
Yes.
What's causing it? You might see a little flicker here and there with some movie magic, but not.
And do you want to know how terrified that movie made me? That this is a fun little 30-second story. That I went to Dallas International Film Festival one year, and I go to the deal where they show all the shorts.
Yeah.
Right? You sit there. So I'm watching the shorts, and the movie ends, and they say, okay, now we're going to do a Q&A with some of the filmmakers that are here. And all the filmmakers go up there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at this filmmaker, and I'm going, why? And then I realize it's her. It's the freaking Katie from Paranormal Activity that had made a short that wasn't. It was like a very sweet little short or whatever, and I'm like sitting there.
You got competition.
That's a good. I like the blue, but I think he needs to get in the gym a little bit. Maybe do some push-ups and whatever. But I will. I mean, isn't that fair, Brad? You cannot be 5'5", Michael Myers, okay? You gotta at least touch the 6 foot range.
Well, I would argue on height can be terrifying.
I agree, but just not for Michael Myers.
The scariest Pennywise I've ever seen was a 4'10" child. So
Excuse me, and the picture I sent you the other day. But anyway,
it was not that picture, but that one was up there.
to let you know how scary she was, that I was still kind of having PTSD when I was watching her in a theater filled with people and she was just talking.
That sounds familiar. Like, have we none of us have said our picks yet, have we?
No.
Should we share them real quick, like while we're discussing?
Well,
so
I do want to also really quick bring, just before we jump into them, one of
I'm
my
not trying to jump in. I was going to make my point off of his. If that's can I share mine real quick?
Go for it,
My
please.
point.
Yeah.
So like what I said a second ago is that my pick's actually 10 Cloverfield Lane. Then I watched John Goodman being like the antagonist in that film, if you will. The next time, literally a week later, I was rewatching The Big Lebowski. Not a scary movie whatsoever. Watching John Goodman yell, "You're out of your element, Donnie," like, and how he yells it, and like later on in the movie where he has a gun and pointing it at somebody, I had to pause the movie for 30 minutes and take a break because I was so uncomfortable watching him yell. Very similar to what you were just saying about Katie, like in a completely different element, not related to it whatsoever, and just being like, oh wow, no, that makes me uncomfortable.
You know who wasn't scary that I met in person? I think you, Mike, and I talked about this once. One of the greatest legendary villains of all time, but he's such a nice guy and so different, Robert Englund.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, can I ask you something? Like, I understand. Look, it's amazing how nice he is.
Yeah.
It's incredible what a good guy he is. It's incredible how much he loves the fans, and let's be honest, he really is just kind of a geek, at heart. Like, he wants to. I'm sure you all recognize that. Anyone who's met him, but it's a little bit of a letdown, isn't it? Like a little bit, because it takes away from the fear. Like,
I actually think that speaks to just how great of an actor he is. That he can go from that kind of nerdy
Soft,
guy to
happy.
that.
Yeah.
100% I
it's
agree with you.
fantastic.
He's an unbelievable actor, and he doesn't get the credit for the way his physical action, the way he acts. But I think one of the things that makes Michael Myers so great, one of the things that makes some of the legendary things like that, is because you can't see them outside of that world. So even if you meet someone who's in the costume, you know, and out of the costume, who are they? It's still, they're not talking, they're not making cliche, silly lines, they're not,
It has to be specifically like the new Pennywise for me. The Tim Curry one doesn't bother me too much because I've kind of like in the sense of,
It used to bother me.
No, like
Really?
the new Pennywise, I had a kid show me their mint tin the other day. I was like, hey miss, because I'm a teacher, it's like, hey miss, do you want a mint? And they were little red balloons. I didn't think anything of it. He closed the tin and moved his hand to show it to me, and I jumped out of my skin seeing Pennywise on the other side. I was like, crap.
Who you're gonna call? Like it, man. Love it.
Yeah, we have a friend of the show. You prefer Timothy Parrish.
Tim Parrish.
Thank you for coming out, sir.
Wonderful, I believe, TTP on social. Yes. Yeah, great.
The jacket
great stuff.
too, man. This guy's, I like it. I like it. He knows. I love it.
But yeah,
Well, I guess-
glad you could make it out. Perfect timing.
So I guess we're jumping into it then. So I guess Kyla gave her pick.
So yeah, we got 10 Cloverfield Lane right here, which fair pick. But as far as best horror film, David, because yours is such a gimme.
Look, I've said it before.
I swear to God, if you say Season of the Witch, I will close fist punch you on the internet.
Underrated film. Only people without a sense of humor
Trash
can't appreciate
film.
it. I stand by it. I will say it forever. Any film that has literally taken over a holiday, that when you hear the word Halloween, you cannot tell me that there is not a great percentage of the general public whose first thought is the horror movie and not the holiday. And anytime you have a film that changed the entire culture of a holiday that before 1978 was funny and kids going after candy and very commercialized
Teenagers
and all
playing
that
pranks
stuff,
on each
and
other.
change it into sheer horror and terror. That's just that part of my argument. But I've got the
Would
better
you
one
really
for
say
you.
that traditionally before Halloween as a holiday was a fun holiday?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. It
Absolutely.
was silly.
Historically.
It was.
Brad, hang on.
Historically, there's a whole other story that I can go into.
Wait, Brad, you're forgetting the most important thing.
Oh, here we go.
Forgetting the pagan holidays. How could you, Lucy?
He was alive
Here we
to
go.
know.
In fairness, I was not, but I do have a brother who's much older who loves Halloween. But here's what I can tell you. Yes, Halloween always had a little bit of darkness to it, but the darkness that was added after this film came out changed everything. Secondly, the reason that I love that guy. The reason that I pick it, honestly, if you want to get into technical terms, is because you had never seen things from the killer's perspective before Halloween. You get the whole idea of someone just putting on a mask, walking around and killing for killing's sake. There didn't have to be a motive. There didn't have to be a reason. There didn't have to be, some big, scenario turning. And what I also love about Halloween is that unlike you name the villain before him, he's not running. He's not chasing.
No.
Michael Myers definitely does not get his cardio in.
No.
And it was an
It is very
attack.
much a leisurely stroll in the park.
And you know what I love? Being in the world of education, it's an attack on the parent, which I love more than anything in the world, because we all know that great horror films usually have some sort of a political, social, some odd message. And what was Halloween attacking? It was again attacking the idea of parents leaving their kids to go to their parties, to go have fun, sitting in front of the television with the babysitters who want to hook up and get drunk and not give a crap, and then they come back and they find absolute hell breaks loose. And I love that So to
are you
me, the
saying that-
music,
Are you saying that parents should be more responsible and actually be parents? Well, you said,
actually be parents, yeah.
I have tea
wait,
on
wait,
that,
wait.
but
Hang on. Are you sure you don't vote Republican?
And not their friend.
that's
The
an
Republicans,
insult.
you know Michael Myers' parents were Republicans. I got news. But I'll say this to you. Again, it's not just the villain. It's not just the brilliance that he used Halloween, John Carpenter. It's not just the fact that he spent so little money on it. It's not just the fact that the music changed the world, that he did his own music, and that tune, like a Jaws, can be played just simple chords that any little kid can play on the thing and it scares the heck out of you. It's
We talked
also
about it last night.
because
It's like 6 or
he
7
uses
original
William
notes.
Shatner's face, and that is the ultimate middle finger to all the Trekkies and everyone in the world, that nothing is as terrifying as Captain Kirk. I rest.
Joe
That's what
Pesci,
we're
the defense rests.
The defense rest. Everything
No more
said was
questions.
bullshit.
Sorry, thank you.
Hey, I think that was pretty good.
No more questions,
Kyla, I
Miss
think that was
Vico.
pretty good. I think I came with the thunder.
Okay.
Okay, so who's up?
This explains a lot about you.
Hermit.
Well, let's poll the audience real
Perfect
fast.
sense.
We do.
Seeking solitude
Tim,
for reflection
what's
and
your
running
favorite
from fear.
Yeah.
Of course, my traditional.
Ready.
It's not a bad
Right.
choice either.
You do also really enjoy.
Yeah.
I love Freddy, and I'll tell you. And again, like
You
you know
have a
what,
whole-
and
whole
like
spiel on Freddy.
Michael Myers, the original Freddy, the original Nightmare on Elm Street, he said very little. He scared the heck out of you, and he was terrible.
Well, you mean every other word wasn't
Oh,
bitch?
and also a little ditty that kind of goes along with him, like 1, 2,
I love
Freddy's coming
Nightmare on
for
Elm
you.
Street.
Well, and what was so, yeah. Well, and what was brilliant about
You're talking about Wes Craven's New Nightmares?
yeah.
That's my second favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film.
Well, and what's so brilliant about that too, and that's why that's a really great pick, is what we were talking about, is letting the mind kind of wander and do its thing. Like, how terrifying is it that you can only be attacked in your dreams?
Yeah.
Like,
Brilliant.
you
You
can't
can't
stay
get
awake
away.
all the time.
Unfortunately. I have things to do, okay? Sleep gets in the way of my tasks.
I will say two of the most underrated films came out the same year. One was Wes Craven's New Nightmares, and two, one of my other favorite Carpenter films, In the Mouth of Madness. Both came out the same year, and unfortunately, two of the most underrated films that had some similar themes and ideas with some of what they were doing about reality and fiction and playing yourself, and not brilliant films. Underrated. Those would be on my honorable mentions. Have yourself some food. There you go.
Great answer.
Good. Look at you. You want to tell them about the Twix and the left and the right? 'Cause
Right.
that just changed my world.
Fun fact. So,
All right.
Like those throws. Okay,
Those are right on the
you
money.
okay?
Yeah, so we did just have a minor technical issue on Facebook. Video went down and had to get it back up and going, but we are back up and live. So if you are still with us, thank you for that.
happy to see ya.
Here we go. So, yes. Great,
Are we
great
just,
options
are
going
we just
around.
gonna go like this all the way down?
Well, I mean, we can go to yours, Kyla, since you already talked about it.
I mean, either which way. I don't really care. I was just asking.
Go for it, yeah.
Go ahead.
So, mine, I think, is the newest, like without question, between all four of
yeah.
our movie picks. I wanted a film that, like I said, stuck with you. I'm really big on, I want my protagonist to be believable. I can't handle, like, all of those movies that you're sitting there watching, like, you really can't be that stupid, can you? Like, that drives me up the wall, because all of a sudden that like, pulls you out of the film entirely, in my opinion. So 10 Cloverfield Lane, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to, like, spoil too much of it for you. It is a sequel to Cloverfield, the found footage film. That came out.
Spoilers!
No, I mean, obviously, Cloverfield.
You need to
Ooh.
hold this.
But with Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane is a sequel to Cloverfield, but it takes place during the events of what's happening in New York City. So it starts off with this film of this girl named Michelle packing up her things and then leaving her fiance, like leaves her rings behind, for her to get into a car wreck and wake up inside of a doomsday bunker with John Goodman, and then I don't know the other guy's name, playing Howard, and then another guy named Emmett, and then herself. That's it. Those are the only 3 people that you really see in the film besides one other extra. The protagonist is actually intelligent. You see her like as she's making decisions throughout the entirety of the movie, actually like thinking things logically and not like emotionally reacting to every single thing that's popping up. The movie itself later on, it gives you this idea of like John Goodman's not a good person, like Howard's not a good person, but there's also something going on outside that you have no idea, because they're talking about how the U.S. was attacked is all they keep saying over and over again. Then about halfway through the film, everyone in the film, including like Emmett and Michelle, and then the viewer, I will argue that the viewer hits a Stockholm syndrome of like, oh yeah, this is like the happy feel-good thing, until the twist happens and it's like, oh crap, we need to get out of here. It stuck with me, like I said, seeing John Goodman later on, and
No, don't let anything distract you here.
it's the ADHD, okay?
And I'd like you to point out he's in DC gear, not Marvel gear.
That's fine. We like DC too.
We do like DC too. We do like DC too.
Just not some of their choices.
Do you see what it says?
The film itself, like it goes well in the idea of like buying into the story of each character.
Yeah.
Giving you
human
this
onesie,
antagonist, and then having to choose between the devil you do and the devil you don't know, of like which one's going to be my best option for survival here. And even though one of them is absolutely terrifying directly in front of you, one of them's terrifying and you can't see it, and then just trying to get out of it. So it's a very, I don't know, it's a film that stuck with me even years later after watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really understandable with how tense it is. Like, you don't really know what's going on. Like, the first time you kind of see Howard snap at the dinner table, I'm just like, huh. Like, I'm just lounging on the couch and that happens, and I'm like, interesting.
Yeah, even so, like, as someone who's experienced some things that, like, even Howard has portrayed before, I was sitting with him, and when Howard stands up and basically, like, slams Michelle against the wall, and then he tenses up,
That was
as someone who's never really experienced something like that before, and he tensed up when Howard slammed her against the wall, I was like, yeah, that tells you how intensive it is. And how like the whole thing, like his argument was that it didn't really qualify as like a horror movie, but because of like all the different genres, it is very suspenseful while also hitting the unknown. If that makes sense. I don't know. It's up there for me as something that really sticks with me. And anyone who's even those who haven't even experienced like of domestic violence and things like that could buy into it and definitely get into a headspace of being stuck in the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And
I mean, that's...
I do also want to point out really quick, 10 Cloverfield Lane, executive produced and story by J.J. Abrams.
I would like to point out director's cut of Armageddon, now available on streaming, written by J.J. Abrams. Don't worry, you're not missing anything. Yeah, exactly.
Does anyone think I'm stupid for my pick? Anyone?
No,
I actually
say-
don't. That's
so,
probably the most. When Kyla wrote on our thread and we had to give our pick, so spoiler alert, we knew what we would be talking about. I was actually very impressed because I do think I will tell you this. I liked 10 Cloverfield Lane way more than the original Cloverfield.
Yes,
way
absolutely.
more than the original.
Interesting.
100%. I'm in that same. Were you thinking I was going to pick The Strangers?
No, I didn't think you were going to pick I was worried. I thought you would either pick. I did not think 10 Cloverfield Lane at all. I thought you might have picked one of the new It's.
It was on my list.
That was what I thought.
It was on my
might have
list,
come
but
out.
it was more. I was like, that more just hits me. It's scary as opposed to being like top horror.
Which, by the way, I will tell you, the more I watch the new It, and I have now rewatched them many times, the more masterful they are.
Thank you.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant. They're brilliant.
And people laugh at me when I cry.
They are because
it's not
about scary. People came out of that and said it's not scary enough. It is so well done, and
It
the
absolutely
acting
is.
is so good, and the
Yes.
writing is, and it is more.
I don't know. Oh, I think he's trying to. I think Bobby wants to go back.
It's more like a Stephen King movie than most of the movies
Yes.
that are made that have been written by Stephen King.
Yeah.
So the thing, on a side note, the thing with Pennywise that really sticks with me is that Pennywise, the new Pennywise, actually really encompasses the idea of like transforming the thing that you're actually the most scared of, which having to confront a fear that you think you may or may not know that you have, makes me real uncomfortable. I don't know about you. Like, there's a lot of things I'm scared of, but what I'm truly scared of, I don't think I could fully pinpoint until it was in front of my face like that. So,
Can I also throw out something? Does anybody else not think that Hader should have gotten an Oscar nomination?
He was fantastic, dude.
I'm really serious. I think Hader.
All of the adults were.
They were all great, but Hader to me, between the kid, what is his name, who's in Stranger Things that played him
Finn
younger?
Wolfhard?
Yes.
excuse you, that's Mike Wheeler.
And Hader, in my personal opinion, and maybe it's unfair because you know what, the guy who played Eddie also was incredible, the young Eddie.
Yeah.
Yes.
They were exactly.
Yeah.
They were both incredible. But I think that Hader channeled his younger self as well as anybody in that film. Like, he was him older.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Credit to what's his name, which I didn't know was the Old Spice guy until later on. I think he did.
Oh, playing Mike, older Mike.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, not
No.
Mike.
Yeah, older Mike
Yeah, yeah.
Hanlon. Yeah.
He did better than what I expected.
Yeah.
Especially Mike, because you barely saw.
Yeah, Mike was very.
Not as much as the rest of the Lucha's gang in the first movie. But he definitely channeled Mike more in the second film.
The only one I didn't like, and I will give where I thought
Girl.
No. I thought that McAvoy did a really good job. No, whoever the actor was who played Ben, the fat kid.
Yeah.
The young one was amazing.
I loved the young
He
one.
was amazing, and the other guy I could have done with or without. I mean, I didn't. He was my least favorite character.
I didn't hate him.
No.
I did not like him, but it's just he wasn't as memorable.
Agreed. He was just kind of along for the ride.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because he had any recognition
Right.
in the second movie.
Right.
And I'll be honest, I know a lot of people love the first movie. Although the second movie is not as loved, but I actually enjoyed the second movie.
Second one was great.
It's fun.
I thought the second one was great because it has both of them, too. I thought it was great. And it made up for the original It Part 2, which was one of the worst endings maybe in horror.
Oh, the original? The OG with Tim Curry?
Of the original, yeah.
It is boring. It's entertaining, but it's not as entertaining like the first part.
Exactly. Which is kind of funny that in a way they make fun of themselves with Bill would say the ending sucked.
Yeah.
Like Stephen King was definitely playing off of that a little bit. He knew.
He made himself aware.
That's right.
I guess after all this years later.
And do you want me to see me make these guys' days? Do you know who directed it, Brad? Do you know who directed the original It? 1 and 2? It's gonna make Mike so happy.
I'm talking about the original. The
The original It Part 1 and 2 with Tim Curry. Do you have any idea who made it?
I'm drawing a blank on the director.
Tommy Lee Wallace. Do you know what else Tommy Lee Wallace directed? Halloween 3.
Oh,
That's why it sucked.
I just made your day, didn't I?
Sure,
I
let's
just
go with that.
Made your day.
Go with that.
No, I will say though, one of the things that 10 Cloverfield Lane and especially the new It do have in common is that when you can really go after things that are a tangible fear for people, that are like a practical thing that you experience every day, and try to bring that to life, that has a very different visceral effect on the audience, which, while it's very different than going after something more primal and unknown,
Like his pick?
it has a very tangible effect on people. It is a lasting effect, for better or worse.
And what else does it do, Brad? Similar to what he was telling us with Nightmare on Elm Street, what does it do that no one's comfortable with? Kills children. And anytime you go
fair.
down the road of, again,
Well,
right,
what is-
an
what is-
attack on the
what-
adults see nothing,
What is
they
your-
don't care.
What is your theory?
Halloween 2016?
What is your theory about
My
great
theory
directors?
that I stand by is
A good horror.
not just good, a great
Sorry.
director
My apologies.
does two things. Kills small kids or kills children in one of his films or animals. You find me a great director and I will find you where they did it at some point in their life. In the modern world. I'm just going to say that. I know, Brad, it's terrible. As a father, it kills you, and I love every second.
That's a very interesting theory.
Spielberg's done it.
It's a very interesting theory.
It's the
Carpenter did
John Carpenter did it.
And not with a horror movie. He did it with before he did Halloween.
Very
He did
good.
The original.
Tell me. Tell me.
Assault on Precinct 13.
Thank you, sir.
Was a shocking moment.
Yep. Stanley Kubrick's done it. You can go down the whole
Kubrick's
list.
done it. I mean,
I'm
Kubrick's
just
killed
saying.
everybody.
Scorsese, you go down the road. They've all done it, brother.
It's fair.
Just saying.
Who's next?
I think
Nothing is holy.
Should we leave controversial for last?
Do we really want to end with controversial?
I don't actually, right now, I'm not remembering what yours is.
Oh,
Which is kind of making me excited.
His was.
No, I gotta hear it. I'm excited because
His
I
makes
know what
me
his is, but
angry.
I
I'm
don't
going to
remember
stand
what
on that hill and I will die on that
Hang on,
hill.
let me get something to throw at you real quick.
Not these. I
Oh,
like
here we
these.
go.
So don't touch
So,
these.
If you say Revenge of the Sith, I'm leaving.
No, it's.
oh no, even better, even better.
All right, Brad.
No, so my
gonna hate
controversial
yourself if you
pick
forgot it.
for the best horror movie of all time,
Arguably a
All
slasher.
time.
Leprechaun.
Thank you. Okay, see, it's laughable.
But there's a reason
I
for this.
forgot.
There's a reason.
Let the
for
man
this.
have his
There's
say,
a
and,
reason.
and you cannot say.
Yes, first one.
I agree. Jennifer Aniston's acting is
will never
horrendous.
Justify the others. I can never justify
And
the
it was
others. But the
horrendous.
first one has a purpose. So the reason
She does
why the
actually look
first
like
one
herself in
I
that
think
movie, though.
is a great horror film is
I
because
just love Warwick Davis.
I do.
I think he likes
That's
pushing
not-
buttons.
Who I do too, by the way.
No, it's because when it comes to trying to go in and tap into the things that we're afraid of because we do not understand, the way that movie starts off, it starts off exactly that. The characters don't see, they don't see the leprechaun. They see the
Gesundheit.
things he does in the dark, the things he does to them. He builds the fear in the characters, and as an audience, we get to see the fact that, as silly as they are, leprechauns are one of those things that have a bit of a complicated history with whether or not they were a funny thing or a terrifying thing, depending on if you were pre or post Lucky Charms. And the thing is,
I had it. I'm a decent poker player until he went to the Lucky Charms. I was holding it together. Now I need to put my mask back on.
but the
My
thing
Lucky
is,
Clovers. I need my pot of gold.
the best terrifying things in the world are the things that are terrifying but are able to convince you that they're not a big deal. The things that scare us the most are the things that are able to give us a reason to rationalize why they're not terrifying, even though you come back and when you really have a chance to stop and think about it, when you're alone at night, there's a reason to still be scared. And the fact that Leprechaun gives you so many reasons to look at it and say this is a dumb premise, everything else about it, when you take away
Broke Zim. Congratulations.
when you take away the humor,
I'm saying Brad.
when you take away the humor of it,
Tucked in with his blankie because he's scared that Warwick Davis is gonna come after him looking for his pot of gold and his Lucky
when you
Clovers.
take away the humor of it, what you're left with is a good horror. It is fantastic.
Okay, Brad, I want a really serious thing. Let's just go through the realm of fantasy, like we said. It doesn't have to be
I'm trying to keep
rational.
his face straight.
All of a sudden, your door opens up, and Warwick Davis in full leprechaun gear comes out and starts chasing you around. I just want to say,
Swallow. Because you got over the top.
I Brad, let's be honest. You would whoop his ass. He ain't gonna.
Wait, are we talking? Are we talking just Warwick Davis? Or
No,
Warwick
I'm talking
Davis
about
as
whoever. I don't care.
He said as Leprechaun.
He's
as
coming up to
Leprechaun,
your
I will say
ankle.
No comment.
Have you seen Warwick run? Cara.
Joke to go with that.
See, I broke you. I knew I would.
Well, I have another comment to say.
So here's what you do. You take one of his coins and you fight it. Congratulations, you have a big coin.
That was good.
Brad.
Oh my god.
Brad, I have a serious question for you. Would you say you're just trying to play devil's
I will never
advocate?
be able to get an image out of Brad running from Warwick Davis
I
in
win.
full
Oh,
leprechaun.
y'all didn't even hear my joke.
I heard it.
I'm so disappointed.
No, I heard it.
Did you hear what I
It was
said,
good.
Zim? Did you hear what I said, Zim?
What did you
I
say?
asked Brad if he was just trying to play devil's advocate.
Underrated movie, by the way. Underrated film, by the way. I love that movie. That is an underrated. That is actually very scary.
I
movie
made
in
Brad
time.
break, so both of you can suck it.
Brad, you.
Whoa, Mike. Sounds like you're in for a fun evening. But
Oh gosh.
Brad, you ignorant slut.
oh god, here we go. He's off the rails.
How do you
hold
really
on.
feel?
Wait, are you?
How do you really feel? About
I don't know which part of that to be insulted with.
You thought this train was on rails, Jim?
We're way off. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
No, we don't.
I never said my pick was going to make people happy. I said
I don't
it
think
was
you
gonna
really
be
believe that.
controversial.
I don't think
wasn't
you
that
really believe that. That's
controversial.
why you're dressed as the devil and you got horns coming out of your heads. Like, I don't think you believe that. I do not believe that you really believe in your heart of hearts that Leprechaun is the greatest horror film of all time.
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Feelings. Come on, Brad. You don't. I don't think you could really say that. If I think that's shock value. I believe it.
As far as anybody in our audience is concerned, it is 100% correct. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it.
He pleads the fifth.
Okay, if I put another one out there that I believe is one of
Then
Please.
that is directed by John Carpenter
Oh.
and is another part of his Apocalypse trilogy.
Yeah.
And it's not The Thing. I
Okay.
would consider that Mouth of Madness is his best one, but I think my favorite one is Prince of Darkness.
Garden is a great movie. It's another very underrated film.
Good choice.
Film to watch. Especially like when the thing that's afraid of is something that you can't see and that you have to summon and possesses people. And like I have to say, like the part where the messenger comes and he melts away, that one's one of the most terrifying moments in the movie.
It's a very scary.
Brad,
The effects is just it's timeless to me.
Brad, if you actually think that Leprechaun is the best horror movie of all
He
time,
doesn't.
then to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, you truly are lost.
But I'll give him this. He's original. But he's original. I'll give Brad the fact that he's original. It's an original idea.
It's a terrible movie.
I mean, I bet you it is entertaining.
Exactly.
God, well, Mike, I mean, let's be honest. He could just be lame, and he'll probably say his favorite movie's The Thing.
Here's the thing. A great horror movie does not have to be exclusively scary.
I agree with
A
that.
great
I
horror
disagree.
movie can have layers.
Yes.
So what
We're not
layers?
talking about onions, Brad.
Well, that was Jennifer Aniston's first. Wait, that was Jennifer Aniston's first layer before she started changing all the other layers.
That's true.
He has a point.
She actually looked like herself. I forgot what she looked like till I go back to that movie.
Right.
Not to be fair, like she looks great now.
You think so?
I love how she looks now.
I think she looks closer to LeBron James now than she does to Jennifer Aniston.
She grew a foot and a half.
She just looks. There's something just weird. I don't know.
Brad said how it doesn't have to necessarily be scary. One of my favorites, I would say like the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Sorry, representing Freddy again, but I think the best Nightmare on Elm Street movie that came out was the fourth one because even though this is the
Dream Warriors?
This is
No.
the humorous version.
No, that's Dream Master.
Dream Master.
Yeah, Dream Master.
My younger sister actually about 2 weeks ago said exactly what he just said. She said that she thinks Dream Master is one of the best, most underrated horror films ever. And it was interesting. I need to go back and watch it again.
And even though it's not, as scary, it does have scares in it, but it's fun and entertaining.
Absolutely.
That's fair. I mean,
that's what makes it the best fun, especially when it comes to like with the dream sequences. That one is the most, imaginatory of all. That's why I kind of like, the later sequels of the Nightmare on Elm
When they actually had money.
Yeah, when you have more money, more visual effects to, create the dream sequences.
True.
Yeah. I love about, all those films.
Absolutely. I agree.
I say that the fourth one is, the best one. My personal favorite one, which I think is the scariest one, is the big one, the Dream Trials. And that one is very dark. Even though he's still humorous in that one, the movie itself, the tone of that movie is very dark and and that one scares the crap out of me, mainly because, especially because of the dance that
And I gotta tell you,
that scene gave me nightmares as a child, and it still gives me.
well, let me tell you something. I saw Lisa Wilcox in Texas Frightmare a couple years ago. That was scary.
which we're going. By the way, we're going next year.
We can't. And if you ever interview her, you can apologize to me, but I think you'll agree. She does not look so good.
Oh, my.
Lisa Wilcox. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, Allison.
What's the same like as she did with
Not
I mean,
a little older.
let's just not forget for a second that horror comedy is still a subgenre of horror.
Oh, 100%.
And
Shaun of the
that
Dead.
is
Yep.
horror comedy is separate
Classic
from
movie.
horror parody, because that is a whole different thing. Horror comedy, whether it is horror that is meant to be funny or horror that is just so ridiculous that it's funny, like say Trolls 2.
That's fair.
There
Bride of
is
Chucky.
a place for that within
Ready
the
or
realm of
Not.
horror that you need in order to balance out the genre as a whole. And just because you have some humor in horror does not take away from how great it is as a horror
Oh,
film.
I agree. I mean, I could sit there and listen to Chucky say, "Who the F is Martha Stewart?" a million times,
Exactly.
and it never gets old. I mean,
Exactly.
it just never
So-
gets old. And that was before she got incarcerated.
With your movie, I guess I'd also agree because there's a couple lines in your pick that do also make me giggle.
Yeah.
Especially, I think you know which one I'm thinking.
I mean, I always giggle when I'm watching J.J. Abrams stuff.
Well, I mean, look at some of the top rated horror movies of all time. Whether you're looking at Poltergeist or you're looking at.
You mean Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the boat scene?
Let me tell you, that's a terrifying scene, though.
It is a terrifying
That's a
scene.
terrifying scene.
Yeah.
It actually, depending on which list you're looking at, it is listed in the top 100 scary movies of all
Look,
time,
there are-
specifically because of the boat scene.
Yeah,
itself.
there are scenes in films.
And also, what's
Willy
happening to
Wonka,
every
you
single
bring it
one
up.
of
I'll
those
never
children.
forget the boat scene, but you know what else scene I'll never forget? I will never forget when
Charlie
he's got his
floating up to the
golden
fan?
ticket and he runs into
Oh, never
Slugworth.
mind.
Oh man.
No, see.
Oh my God, that
I-
terrifies me to this. It still scares
No,
me.
so
Yeah, he's sitting there.
The Slugworth thing didn't bother me so much. It was watching
Keep
Charlie.
ruining me.
No, it was watching Charlie float up to the fans with Grandpa, and so they're trying to
That
figure out what they're
scared
supposed to.
me.
Yeah,
That didn't scare me.
because it's fans and they go.
But it was amazing. You have no idea how many times I tried to reenact that scene with my parents around.
From reaching the fans. That's
Well, like all of Child's Play, like the entire Child's Play series.
And again, why was the original Child's Play so great? Because kind of like what you said with Leprechaun.
Yeah.
For the first half of that movie, you don't see Chucky doing anything. He's just there.
The doll just
And
gets
it's
more
until she
menacing
checks
looking as
that
the movie
battery
goes on.
box and his head flips around, and then you
Which
go.
that is an amazing way to do that
Give him
reveal.
a soundproof board where Miss Lee was stand on.
it is a dark one, but it does kind of make me laugh afterwards when you finally see him come to life.
Oh, of
Even
course.
though it's supposed to be scary, all it does is just make me laugh. 'Cause
How terrifying though is that? How terrifying though is that scene?
And of course-
where he's got the voodoo doll.
Of course, looking back at any horror movie from like the 80s or early 90s that relied heavily on claymation for their monsters, you can look at that and no matter how terrifying it may have been at the time, now it's pretty hilarious. But like something like say The Gate, you can look at and go, at the time, it had plenty of terrifying bits to it, but
It doesn't
now
age well.
You can't, yeah, it doesn't age
There
well.
are a lot of
but
ones
it
that haven't
still
aged well. A lot of the Friday
it
the
still
13th
works
haven't
as
aged
a
well.
solid horror movie, even though it is absolutely ridiculous.
But I think you look at
fair point.
you look at the great horror films, and they still seem to age really, really well.
One of the main ones, the thing that was still.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
Which gets to your pick, if you want to get to it.
a lot of people I know, like nowadays, people look at scholarship animation and say it doesn't, it looks dated or whatnot. To me, I would say that the thing about stop motion, it makes it even more scary. To me, it makes it even timeless because of how it's animated. There's some kind of creepy factor to it to when you see the characters move. It makes it.
I think it depends also on the clay.
That's one of the reasons why Tales from the Hood, it has that with the dog scene.
Yeah, the dog scene.
It's one of the scariest moments in that one. And it's just Clash of the Titans and some other films that aren't horror that have that animation. To me, that's my unique point of view.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
No, that's absolutely fair.
Well, I guess since Tim did bring it up, I guess, do you want to talk about your movie?
Yes, which is a good transition into my film, which is John Carpenter's The Thing. I mean, we watched it last night. I mean, I
It's been
can
about
very
15 years since I watched it, but it doesn't back hold up.
look. I can very easily gets to a point that it is in fact a remake. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he. So
Yeah,
it gets.
and by the way,
your favorite
let's talk
thing-
about why my pick wins again. Because what does he show in the original Halloween? What are they watching on TV? Tommy Doyle.
Yep. The Thing from Another World.
The Thing from Another World.
Yep.
Nice little Easter egg there. Before he ever made The Thing.
But it really speaks to the fact that the reason The Thing is my pick for the best horror movie. I look, that guy right there. That is, I watch that guy every Halloween. I watch it on Halloween.
We'll be watching it tomorrow.
We'll be watching it tomorrow.
God bless.
It is a film that it came out in '78, so we're at 44 years, and I mean, and it's still going strong. You talk about films that kind of stand the test of time. Just the general concept of these guys being stuck in an Antarctic outpost. The fact that the movie starts with a dog being chased by a helicopter, and they're throwing grenades and shooting at the dog, and then from there, it transitions into everything that is to come. One of the big things with horror is not always having the answer given to you. It's letting your imagination kind of fill things in. The fact that this movie came out in '82, so it is the 40-year anniversary, if I can math right,
Yes.
and people still debate the ending of this film. That scene where they're sitting by the fire and Childs just kind of walks up and they're
Where
just
were
sitting
you,
there.
Childs?
Yeah, where were you?
Music amazing.
Yep. Dum dum.
Yeah,
Dum
absolutely.
dum.
John Carpenter's son does seem to like minimal, like musical
Yes.
notes, by the way.
But just the fact that it's a
One of my all-time favorite scenes in a film.
what's that?
Come on, what's that?
What's in the box?
You guys are finished messing around. Can you get me out of this damn chair?
Well, actually, so
I know that you gentlemen have been through a lot.
That's the. So
That
that's actually,
scene is so brilliant.
When you mentioned like the funny line being done there, like that's exactly the one I was referring to. It was like, I know you gentlemen have been through a lot this evening,
Yep.
but when do you find the time? Could you untie me from this couch?
Yeah, that's the spring. Yep.
And excuse me, and what does he do in the film, John Carpenter, yet again? Kills a dog.
Kill several.
Kill several dog in one scene.
Baby!
But
That's my man. That is my man.
it's the
He got hungry.
he did get
Get hungry.
When the dog is transforming,
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
right now, like whatever it is that this dog, I feel so bad for that.
Right? Yes. Yep.
Like, say what you will about child murder, but killing
About
a dog.
what?
Child murder.
Oh, I thought he said something else. Good. Yeah, stick with that.
But killing a dog is where I just
I know.
that gets me.
I Am Legend. I Am
Oh my
Legend.
gosh,
The
I Am
Thing.
Legend.
Oh, that
It's
one
very
hurts.
hard. John Wick. It's
John
very
Wick?
hard to watch.
The whole thing that John
American
Wick starts
Gangster.
because you killed his dog. Like,
Yes.
But one of the things too that we also talked about was it being a
Great Great directors.
Great directors, man. No, it's one of the things that we often talk about is minimalist is better in horror.
Yeah.
Not giving you the monster, making your imagination kind of fill things in. The fact
I
that
don't think
it
you ever
could
see
be
the monster in its entirety, do you?
no, it always because it takes the shape of whatever.
It's
The fact
also
that
like it's like sometimes like cut. I think the only time you even see like a good chunk of the monster is when Benning's head is coming off because he was separating himself from the rest of his body.
the fact that it's all
and then you just see the shadow.
the fact that it's all practical effects, the fact that the one thing that it does so well too is it builds up on that paranoia of you don't know who to trust. These are guys that are literally cut off from the rest of the world. They have no way in or out, and we see pretty early on that the dog interacts with somebody. It's still debated to this day who the first person to be turned was.
Right.
It's still debated.
Does anyone have an opinion on who the first person to turn
The
was?
shadow, when you see, the dog go into the room, you see the shadow of your hand turn.
Yeah. So the fact, and it's a very slow burn of a film too. You don't really get a sense of the true horror until about halfway through when they're trying to resuscitate the one dude and his chest opens up and you're just like,
Yeah, like when they're sitting there, they're like hitting him
And-
with the.
and by the way,
defibrillator,
a little-
put it on his chest and like bites.
A
his
little
arms
Easter
off.
egg to Mike, because I'll never argue against the Thing's greatness, because I don't do that. But can someone tell me what was the modern day sequel, the real great director sequel to the Thing? Anybody know? That he's now admitted that that's what he was basically making.
I don't know that
Anybody
one.
know?
No.
This is good trivia
talking about
for you.
Carpenter? No, you said Carpenter.
Great director. Nope. Great director. Much more relevant, unfortunately, than John Carpenter.
Well, no. You said he admitted. Who had?
He admitted.
Oh, the
that
director. Okay.
He basically made the thing in this genre. Anybody know?
Oh, Tarantino.
There
With
you
the
go.
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Yep.
Yep. Not only did he use the same composer, but Tarantino
Yep.
basically said, "Go back and watch
Yep.
my movie."
It is
It's the
the
thing
thing.
in
Yep.
a western, trapped in a snowstorm.
Yep.
Yep. It's crazy if you didn't know it. So go back and watch
Are
that.
you proud of me that I knew that?
I'm very proud of you.
And it takes place in the snow.
You got it.
They don't know
You-
in Hateful Eight, they don't like each other.
They don't know who's the one that's
You
Yep.
don't know who to trust. You don't know.
Okay.
But
And he even has his scene with, throwing up blood everywhere.
yeah.
Well, it's Tarantino. So
Yeah,
sure.
that's Tarantino. Well, and his usual Tarantino ripping
Yeah.
someone off. What else is
Yeah.
new?
But I mean, you have super relatable characters. You have very real characters.
Yep.
You have dudes that let's be
Snake
honest.
Plissken.
Snake Plissken.
I still stand by
R.J.
it.
McCready.
Kurt Russell's greatest work will and always will be with John Carpenter.
Absolutely, 100%. But it's, for me, it's the fact that, like I said, like you said, it's a remake. But go watch the original.
Yeah, it's totally.
They are not anywhere close to the same. John Carpenter took a concept and made it something completely different from what it was supposed. The original was supposed to be Cold War, Red Scare.
And isn't it sad that, like so many times when Carpenter was given a big budget,
Yep.
it was a total failure.
Oh, it
A
flopped.
total buzz. I will never forget sitting in Texas that Mike didn't come to, and he's ashamed of himself forever. It's
true.
But when my brother and I went to Texas Frightmare, and John Carpenter did his first convention in I don't even know how long it had been, and he sat there with the cast of Christine, and it was a reunion, and they asked him about the thing, and he said it was the thing that literally made him hate Hollywood.
Yep.
That it was the reaction to the thing that made him
like so
not
many-
want to work with producers anymore, not want to work with big companies anymore, and do everything.
Well, and like so many of Carpenter's films bombed at the box office when they first came
They
out.
were ahead of their time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ahead of their time. Ahead of their time.
Halloween wasn't a big success when it first came out.
That's not true.
Was it not?
It was the biggest independent film of all time. Yes, Halloween was huge. Halloween was huge.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that even though I'm gonna say this, don't hate me for saying this, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that even though Halloween was not the first horror movie to start the slasher genre or starting the whole horror genre,
from the killer's perspective.
It was the movie that popularized it.
Right. Well, no, but I said not started the slasher from the killer's perspective.
Yes.
You never saw it from the killer's perspective before. With through the mask, looking, killing people. That's what. Yeah. Because you would be correct. It's not the first slasher.
Yeah, because we have movies like beforehand, like Black Christmas, that that was
Which you talked about 2 years ago.
That was a slasher movie. And it's I would say it's one of the most underrated slasher movies.
A lot of people like Black Christmas. A lot of people like Black
Actually, Brad
Christmas.
talked about Black Christmas 2 or 3 Halloweens ago.
Yep.
There you go.
Whenever y'all talked about
But the
your top
difference
slasher
is,
films.
when people say Christmas, they don't think about Black Christmas.
That's true.
But when you say Halloween, somebody's brain is going to turn to that guy right there. It's crazy, isn't it, the way we think? It really is nuts, like, when you think about that.
But I just, for me, like I said, the thing is just one of those movies that's so, it's of a different era, but even 40 years later, it still holds up so
Oh,
well.
absolutely.
And the
Like-
remake / prequel was horrendous.
It wasn't great.
Horrendous.
It wasn't great.
Horrendous.
No, I will say, like, the actual thing from last night, I was telling Mike, like, it's something that makes you uncomfortable because it does try to take the shape of anything that's, like, absorbed and transformed into. You mentioned it, like, whenever he's sitting there eating the dog, and he's like, I think, is it feedback?
Oh,
but like when he's in there, he's like
and you mean that,
transforming into
and watch this. And one of the other great copyright plagiarists I know, he's one of Mike's favorite directors. Wonder where he got the idea of the T2 Robert Patrick character. Wonder if The Thing helped him along with that one, where you could take any character
Oh, I'm sure.
and any
Absolutely.
shape and
Oh,
kill
absolutely.
everybody and do that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
even like the small like noise that it makes. I was telling Mike, like,
Yeah.
that cicada chittering noise.
Yep.
Like, just hearing it even like in the background of something, I was like, that's really unsettling. Like, to know like you all you
I
can
will
imagine is like
never
little
argue
tentacles
No, and it's
about
like,
everywhere.
and that's the thing, like, that we talked about
gonna
earlier,
smack you in the
is
head.
that the greats withstand the test of time. Like, in another 40 years, how many people are going to be talking about Carpenter's Halloween, or how many people are going to be talking about The Thing, or
God willing, forever.
not Leprechaun?
Not Leprechaun until they
Notice how
come
he
out.
didn't attack me.
Until they come out. Hey, Brad, do you think like Jennifer Aniston's in the works, like Jamie Lee Curtis, and making like Leprechaun Revisited? You think that's David Gordon Green's next production?
Part of me would be very happy if it was, but
Well, and the other thing too
Warwick
is,
Davis has still got some, spring in those
yeah, he
steps.
does.
like, the other thing too is Halloween tackles Middle America, that kind of stuff.
Pleasantville, any day, any town, Main
Right.
Street.
little suburbia.
Right, 10 Cloverfield Lane tackled, that sends,
F nowhere.
bum F nowhere.
I kept it clean. for you.
Leprechaun attacked the Irish.
Yes. Yes, it did. But, the thing, too, is there's not a lot of horror movies that tackle alien invasion the way that The Thing did it. Because when you think of Alien Invasion, Independence Day,
Right.
like big blockbusters, like
Well, except
gigantic
that before
battles.
the Thing, you
Cloverfield
had
and 10
Invasion of the Body
Cloverfield Lane?
Snatchers, you had the Blob.
Very,
there was
very different from this, though. This was
War of the Worlds.
very, very different. Incredibly different. You're talking about movies that were on a large. War of the Worlds literally created a mass panic across the country because it was large-scale warfare of an alien invasion.
Also,
This is
the
a
original did in fact create panic across the country
Wow.
because of the radio show.
Yes, this was The Thing is a small, secluded, a group of 10 guys that are fighting against something that isn't from this world, that they have no idea what they're dealing with.
This is the only place I could disagree with you, but you might be right. I've got to do my brain math here. What year did Alien come out?
Alien was...
That's the only way I could critique him, but my brain's not functioning.
No, Alien was the 70s.
Well, Alien was before the Thing. So in fairness, now again,
Alien was 79.
Carpenter and Ridley Scott and all those guys were all buddies.
Right.
They all worked on different stuff, but that would be my only argument. That Alien did it where the
Right,
guy's
but wait,
normal,
no,
he's in his shape, you don't realize he seems like he's fine, and then boom, all
In
of
the
a
first
sudden.
20 minutes of the movie, though.
No
way later than that. If you go back to Alien, it's way later. It's like within 45. It's like that doesn't happen until way
no.
later.
But you're fighting. But they are actually dealing with the xenomorph for a good chunk of the movie.
Not as much as you think.
I mean,
if you go back to Alien, a lot of the beginning of Alien is showing off the sci-fi special effects of like the ship and space, and it's very slow, a little Blade Runner-like.
And then they deal with the face hugger.
Right, but that's not till... Go back and look. I don't think that happens till about 30 to 40 minutes into the film.
We don't even know that there's some...
Mike,
we don't even know what's going on in the...
I understand that you're just saying that you like The Thing because you're a big Among Us fan, but like...
Well, hey, you know what? That's actually to my point. They made an entire video game based off the concept of The Thing that millions of people play.
The Thing is greatness.
But it was...
But I'll say what Brad wants to say. You're just wrong. We'll make it clear. We can do it in 2 words. The Thing, you're wrong. No.
but it's I mean, and to your argument, you know, there is something to be said about Alien. But again, Alien was more of the I feel like Alien was more of the sci-fi.
See, I think The Thing and Alien are so close.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I was to put a category, I would put them in a... That's why I always had a problem. And I don't know if it was a fair criticism, but I always had a problem with looking at The Thing as just a horror film, because I always thought The Thing was sci-fi / horror / action. I compared it to Alien. I compared it to Aliens. I compared it to
I think Aliens
an
is more
Assault on
action than it is
Precinct
horror.
13, kind of more like horror, but you know, like there was a lot going on there. I didn't view it just as strictly a horror film. Like, I don't know if people... it's interesting. I've heard that argument a lot of times. Do people consider The Thing a horror movie or a sci-fi movie? And I think you can be both.
Horror, sci-fi
I think you can be
category.
both. I think you can be both.
Oh, absolutely you can be. Well, I mean, Invasion of the Body
Just like
Snatchers.
Sunshine, which we love.
Love that.
Is a horror sci-fi
Absolutely.
movie.
I mean,
But
so many
Invasion of the Body Snatchers
so many
would be
great
a sci-fi
movies
horror.
dip their toe into multiple genres in order to be able to get to the point
Of
they're
course.
making. And I think I think you're absolutely right that Alien does that with horror and sci-fi, and what you end up with is something that could be either or depending on your perspective.
Yeah.
But it's
Attack of the
just
Killer
as valid
Tomatoes.
to say both.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Killer Clowns from Outer
Killer
Space.
Clowns from Outer Space, man.
But that's, you know,
I can't figure out how far it is into it.
you know, that's something that I will always look at The Thing as is, you know, how many movies have done it. Like, I credit this as being the greatest slasher of all time. I think that so many slasher movies that have come after it have borrowed and been inspired by that.
Absolutely.
I think it is the godfather of that entire genre. I think you just named off Quentin Tarantino, who directly said that he was making his own version of The Thing with The Hateful Eight.
Yep.
So, I mean, look, in terms of, you know, slashers are made to death, how many alien invasion movies, horror movies, whatever you want to call it, but do it in the style of The Thing? They don't, because you can't outdo
Well,
it.
they've tried to do it. They've done different things. There have been different
but what
takes.
movies, though?
What do you mean? Oh, I
Like,
mean,
what
I
movies
think
have tried-
any film that it went from a human not being a human to transferring over to be... I mean, look at They Live. Look at, you know, another Carpenter film. He had some of that idea
That's
in
not
there.
the same thing.
But that's taking over. You don't realize that the people are among us. Like, you can't really tell that they're that. You
Right.
look at films like Fallen, which have it passing along as like a disease.
Right, but
or
again,
something.
but on a global, like on a larger scale. The Thing did it in a way that was so different because it was
What
so
about
secluded.
what about
And it was so
what about a
claustrophobic.
film like 28 Days Later? I mean, what about movies like that? They had kind of that similar to Return of the Night of the Living Dead and all that stuff. I mean, worldwide takeover, the zombie genre. I mean, I think they're all connected in weird ways.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is that, like, The Thing, it did it in such an intimate way.
Oh, I agree.
Right, but how many films after have tried to do it in that same style?
I mean,
There's
any
not- there's not
low-budget
many.
horror film that... Wow. Cabin in the Woods.
Totally different.
Not Cabin in the Woods. Cabin Fever, I meant. Eli Roth
Totally
tried to do
different.
some of that with Cabin Fever.
Totally different. Well, influenced, but not.
To go with what you said, and I completely agree with what you just said.
a thing.
Mist is a really good one.
Oh, the Mist.
Depressing as hell ending. Jesus.
I think on that, we've pretty much covered most of the things that would make a great horror film.
I
Right
guess
or wrong.
my question would be is how well do you think modern horror does that?
I think that's.
I think
it's
an
changed.
example. It's modern.
I think it's changed.
Came out in
Right. So
2017,
well
I
that's
think.
and that's just it.
It's
Like
hard.
one of my favorite modern horror. You know what I'm gonna say?
It Follows. It Follows.
Yeah, Oz was great. Yeah, but you know what's funny?
STD curse.
But you know what's funny though, Mike? But It Follows purposely takes place in the past and is themed like a 70s, 80s film.
That takes place in-
You don't know. They keep it very vague because the style that it's shot like. You don't
So-
see them
Right.
doing a lot of technology. You have to remember, when you say modern horror, the world has changed. So
Well, of
people have
course.
like tried to come up with new ways to scare it. Like now if someone's sitting there, like that's what I thought was creative about the way, at least in the first one, that David Gordon Green and Carpenter and McBride
So-
tried to do Halloween, where now you've got a cell phone. How would this work in the modern era with Michael Myers coming after you? And could you still get away with that stuff? You've seen that with like a new look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, trying to make you believe it. And I thought the most impressive movies to me are the ones that have adapted to the changing society, and rather than come up with a cheap way to get out of, oh, my signal doesn't work on my phone or something like that, you've walked into some films like Open Water. Sure. You walked into a movie like, I didn't see this new Fall movie that people were talking about, where they're stuck at the top of the tower, you know, these two girls,
The
which
like
actually got good
512 feet
reviews.
up or
I
something
haven't
like that.
seen it.
Did it really?
It got good reviews. I haven't seen it.
I don't think you want to watch it though.
It looks intense.
I'm good.
The one with
So-
that I saw with the ski thing where they got caught on the ski lift, Frozen. That was pretty. It was called Frozen, and it was real Frozen, and it was it was very intense. Or something as crazy as that movie that wasn't bad that I saw, Unfriended. And then they made
Yeah.
that thing
wasn't
where
bad.
somebody.
No,
Was
so-
it great? No. It's a good idea. It's a good idea.
So I mean,
Or you have, I saw, Smile. I saw
Oh, I wanna
see
recently.
it.
It was a letdown to me, and I thought what was much better was Derrickson's Black Phone, Scott Derrickson's Black Phone,
need to watch that one.
which again, Black Phone to me
watched it
was
tonight.
really well done. But again, what did he have to do? He had to go back in time to a
Well, so-
time that was. You saw that with Dr. Sleep.
on, let me
That's
make
one of
sure
the
I'm not
best
crazy
sequels
before
I've
I-
seen in a long
before I'm a
time.
liar.
Doctor Sleep to me might be the greatest horror sequel of all time, in my
But
opinion.
at the
this
same
point.
time, when we're talking about the greatest horror films of all time, how many of those are we able to just rattle off that were like 90s and earlier compared to the ones that have happened since the 2000s? I mean, in all honesty, I think there's been.
I think you.
While there are certain modern horror films that have done a really good job, I think most horror directors today have gotten a little too caught up in the aesthetic of horror and have not quite gotten the motivation of horror quite right. Which there's always a place for the horror aesthetic, and that's fine if that's what you want to do as a director. But if you want to make a great horror film that's going to last, I don't think there have been very many that you can justifiably say have been in recent times.
So here would be, I don't disagree with you, but, and I used to, my friends would say, and Michael laughed because I am that guy at this point, the old man, telling the kids to get off my lawn at this point.
Old man yells at cloud.
Where I always said, what are we going to have to
Get
look
out of
at?
my sky.
But every 3 to 4 years, somebody comes along with something
Yeah.
that really, I'm not going to say it changes the game, I'm not going to say it's better than the great classics of all time, but I will say what we've seen out of a young filmmaker doing Hereditary and Midsommar, I would say to you what we've seen
out
out
doing
of
like Nope?
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele, what you've
Nope and
seen
Get
out of
Out?
Jordan Peele has completely changed the game in ways we haven't seen. I think that you saw some of that out of Danny Boyle in the 2000s, like Brad was talking about, that he attempted to conquer some of those things. I think Sam Raimi has tried to produce some stuff and do some stuff that goes along those lines, and sometimes you're successful and sometimes you're not.
No.
But I wouldn't say that they're topping them. But look, to me, Jordan Peele, in my humble opinion, is the closest director to Hitchcockian style and thinking that we've had since Hitchcock. He's the closest one.
Right.
He's the closest one.
Not-
And I don't have to necessarily love everything he does, but I watch it and I go, this guy is thinking on that other wavelength.
But not Gus Van Sant?
No.
You know, doing a shot-for-shot remake of...
No, I know what you're trying to say. No,
Rob Zombie?
no, he did a shot-for-shot remake of Psycho. Literally shot-for-shot. But yeah, Jordan Peele's a great point, and Ari Arad, who did Hereditary and did that stuff. And there are guys that are making and trying new things. And the fact that Scott Derrickson, the fact that Joss Whedon, the fact that some of these guys have tried to do things that have Mike Flanagan, absolutely, with Dr. Sleep.
But it just, you don't have the same frequency of the great ones
true.
coming out now. Like
God.
before, like 70s, 80s, the frequency of the ones that hit like that top tier horror compared to the frequency that you get them now is just so different. Like, I honestly don't know if that's because the directors aren't trying to do that right now, or if we as an audience have just become so desensitized to what a good horror movie is that we are not the right audience.
But wouldn't you say,
I don't know.
Brad, wouldn't you say that what the Duffy brothers did with Stranger Things? Duffer, sorry. The Duffer brothers did with Troy Duffy on my mind. With the Duffer brothers, hey, still love Boondock Saints. With what the Duffer brothers did with Stranger Things, what I was just about to say, look, right now the most watched things on streaming and all this stuff, you've got things like The Watcher, you've got things like that. I don't know. I think there are still visionaries out there. Yes. I'll tell you a bigger problem we have. A bigger problem we have is there's so much content now. There's so many things
Didn't y'all
that
talk
if
about
I
that?
met, like, when I say to you something like, Black Phone, and he says, oh, I haven't gotten to see it yet. If Black Phone comes out in the 1980s or 90s or early 2000s, when you don't have options like we do now, everybody's going to see that, just like Scream, just like anything else, right? So now you're telling your friends, but maybe they get to it and maybe they don't, and maybe they get caught watching some absolute garbage that's on Prime or something, another outlet, and you miss out on great work. Like, I guarantee you, everybody's going to go see this Pray for the Devil crap. It's going to be horrible. I haven't even seen. I'm going to tell you already, it's going to be horrible. I don't need to know. I know it's going to be
Judging a book
horrible.
by a cover now, isn't
and
it?
I guarantee you that there is a better, lower budget horror film that's on Netflix or Prime right now.
Oh, like 10
that-
Cloverfield Lane that debuted on Netflix?
There you go. That nobody knows about, and it will like it in the Mouth of Madness,
Cloverfield Paradox, dude.
like a
That's
cult
what it
classic.
was.
It will
I
build a
stand
following through people saying stuff. But I also think it's harder
I
to
didn't
build
see
a
Two
following
Cloverfield
now
Lane. I saw it.
because there's so much content. Something has to be really good to get you to tell your friends you should spend your 2 hours watching this horror.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong on that. It's just,
Thank you. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think the way, even with as much content as is out there, I think the way that the major studios treat movies as far as what gets a marketing budget, how the marketing is handled, how long that marketing lasts before, during, and after the release of the film, before they move on to the next big thing. I think all of that has even changed so much that even when you get the great movies that come out, it takes an extraordinary amount of effort from the fans that see it in order to cement it as the thing everybody needs to see. Because even looking at something like Get Out, if it wasn't for the massive amount of applause that audiences gave it, and how much it was talked about on social media because of how good it was, if you relied only on the marketing that the studio gave it and how much of that was out there, how long it was out there, we probably wouldn't remember as well today. But because the fans were able to latch onto it quick enough and for long enough, it was able to get around to enough people that how great of a movie it was more widely recognized.
By the way, I have another good modern one for you. It came in the 2000s, The Purge. The original
The
Purge.
original one, yes.
I was
original
about to say,
No, so-
let's not talk about the rest of the series.
The
but okay,
original
I'm okay with
Purge
that.
was a very different idea / concept.
Well, hold on, actually,
that
no.
I was actually impressed with the creative process behind it.
So there is I'll have to look it up. There's a short film, there's a short story that was written that the idea behind it is kind of like it's flip-flop from The Purge.
Right.
That they nominate someone to be the mayor every single year, and the mayor gets killed at the end of the year in order to maintain population numbers.
Right, I feel like, was that an Edgar Allan Poe?
Nope. Surprisingly not. It was not Edgar Allan Poe. I'll have to look it up and see.
I think
what
it
you
was
know,
called
but-
The Mayor, right? Or something.
No, I think it was called The Election.
The Election. I feel like I saw something or read something like that. Yeah. I mean, they're all.
Just like how I talked about Chainsaw Massacre also being written about the meatpacking. And
Totally
being
a vegetarian movie.
Inspired by the book called The Jungle. Now, what I was going to bring about with like modern horror films and things like that is, I know you work with high school kids.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. I love my high school kids, though. I will say that.
I love you guys too. Just not your. I'm not going to say it. Not the older people to bring them to school. If I only had to work with the kids.
My high school kids will tell you what horror movies they do and don't like based on just how intense it is, not actually scary.
Unfortunately, kids have become wusses. They become wusses.
No, not wusses. My kids straight up told me, they're like, "Miss, you're scared of Pennywise? That makes no sense. He's not that scary."
Wow.
I was like, "Are you stupid?" Like, I was like, "Excuse me?" Like,
Can I ask a serious question? I'm not. This is not going to be pornographic, I promise, or X-rated. But if Mike was to come home
No.
dressed as Pennywise and
No.
you didn't know about it, what would happen?
I'd get shot.
Okay, glad we've
This
figured
is
that
Texas,
out.
so you know.
No,
That's
it's not.
what I was
It's
gonna
not
say.
clowns.
Clearly,
It's not clowns.
clearly.
It's specifically the new Pennywise.
You gotta dress up as Pennywise.
No.
And we gotta video this.
I know.
good.
All my knives
I'm
are
good.
already freshly sharpened. Do not
What
come
if
into.
he went?
No.
He went into the bathroom. You knew it was Mike, and then he like came out dressed as Pennywise.
I'm shutting that door in his face and telling him to take it off. Like, plain and simple. But
Now
no,
you've got to do it.
no.
Oh, I know.
He enjoys his life, but the new one.
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, like, totally.
Which, by the way,
Is the tea.
Which,
It's
by
not
the
the
way,
tea.
him and Barbarian, can I just say, he's still scary. Skarsgård, even
Yes.
without any makeup, acting normal. I look at this
Yes.
dude and I'm like, you
No,
are
so-
a weird looking individual.
No, my-
Tim Curry did not do
guy
that
has
to
some
me.
insane body control. I will give him
Yeah,
that.
The eye
his
thing that
facial
he can do?
stuff. You know, his eyes actually do that. That is
Yes.
crazy.
Yes. No, but.
And
so
wasn't it
my-
like, didn't they say, I don't think I'm misquoting this right, that it wasn't planned, that the director saw him do it once.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he said, whoa, what
Yeah.
was that? And
Yes.
he said, oh, that's
Andy-
something I've been
Andy
able to
Muschietti
do.
or
And he
whatever, the
said,
director, yeah.
and he said, you got to start doing
Yes.
that now in the
Yes.
film. That is crazy.
No, but I was gonna say, like, so high school kids now, like the ones that you're gonna be most often seeing going to go see like horror films and things like that in theater, they're not wusses now. They are terrifyingly not scared of anything. Like it is.
Oh, yeah, they are. Getting a job.
Okay, like,
Having to work more than 30 hours a week.
Taking a shower.
Okay, that.
girls. But no, but like
We're counting on you, Brad.
Going to the movies and things like that, they come out and they're like, oh yeah, that was fun. I'm like, you thought that movie was fun? They're like, yeah, it wasn't scary. I'm like, am I the bitch in this case?
I think it's
like,
because
I think
all they think to themselves, I've got my phone, I'll be able to, battle the world.
Here's the thing. Here's
the way
like,
I will actually go to bat for Gen Z right now on this one, because think about all of the
existential dread they already
genuinely
have.
terrifying stuff they've grown up through. How does anything you can put into a movie
COVID,
compare to
no.
is
No,
gonna
make
terrifying.
No. It's not even that. Hang on. No.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
Guys,
Like they go to
Guys,
school
it's
every
true,
day
like,
with
we
the
didn't go through anything
legitimate
like that.
possibility of
When we were kids.
both a school shooting happening and the announcement of World War III happening in the same day.
Yes.
And then you're gonna expect a terrifying clown or a ghost to scare them?
No.
Seriously?
No, it's not even that. It's they have no imagination. It's the fact.
And
What
that
did
I
we
would
talk
actually
about?
say.
We talked about.
I'd say no. I think they
good
have a
film
fantastic
getting chance to run your
imagination.
mind.
It's
No,
just,
God, no.
I think
Are
it
you
works
kidding me?
differently. I think it
No.
works differently than what you expect.
No.
But I think they have a fantastic.
I think kids nowadays.
I'm between the two, not physically, but like I'm between the two of you.
Like I think kids nowadays don't have the imagination to actually think outside of the box, to think about the fact that there is something that goes bump in the night, and holy crap, what is that thing that's out there?
Would you say it's because they have access
That's
to the
my
internet and
drone
they
that
can't
accidentally
confirm
went
those
off.
things?
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Like, I genuinely think it's the fact that, like, this is the information age where they can literally take their phone out and look something up.
The number of arguments you and I have had that have ended with, hold on 1 minute, where we
Right.
both go to our phones to like Google something to prove the other one
And,
wrong.
and as usual, you're right and Mike's wrong.
It's actually about 60-40.
You're right.
No.
It's the fact that
It depends on the
nowadays.
Kyle, we need to talk.
Don't
If
give
it's,
him
should not
no,
give him that sort
if
of
it's,
don't give him
if
that
it's
kind of
anything
credit.
pop culture or sports related, Mike is all over
Like
it. So
it's
it's
what
true.
it's what we just talked about. It's every 3 or 4 years there's a director that comes along that gives us something, and you're like,
3 to 4 is a little bit too soon.
Dude, do you know what I'm terrified of?
We're not
Okay, I
getting
need
that
an
anymore.
answer on this show. I have a lot of respect for the people. I have the most respect for most of the people. No, I have a lot of respect. I'm really interested. Are we about to get hit? As you said, every 3 or 4 years. Are we about to get hit? And I hope we're not. With like a 2 to 3 year period with a bunch of COVID-inspired crap.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming.
We haven't gone there because I think.
But to be honest, as a kid, we didn't know any better. So
Right.
there's stuff that we probably went on.
So
we weren't knowing.
right. So here's my point in saying that. I will bet you, Kyla, based on what you just told me about the kids today, I will bet you that we will see these COVID films that come out in the next 2 years and
we
think they're crap and nobody cares, right? And those kids will be terrified by what they see.
Well, no, we
Like, I
already
hate
are
to-
starting to see those type of films because over on the comedy side of things, Karen Gillan and blanking on the other guys.
talking.
But Karen Gillan's latest movie is a comedy about making a movie in during COVID while the
Terry
whole set
Gilliam's
had to
doing
be
this?
locked down.
No,
Gunpowder
Karen
Milk?
Gillan.
Oh, Karen Gillan.
I'm looking. Keep talking.
Yeah, so
was excited about Terry
and that's the thing. We already know the movies are coming out. It just depends on how long it's going to hit each genre. So it's already hitting comedy. Horror is
You know it's got to be
guaranteed to be
coming.
right behind.
You know it's got to be coming.
Yeah,
Where's it next
now
episode?
that's something maybe.
The Bubble.
The Bubble.
The Bubble. There it is. The Bubble starring Karen Gillan and why am I?
Rob Delaney, Chris Witzke,
There.
Peter, Sarah. That's gonna butcher that name.
Yeah.
Samson Kayo, Harry
But no, it
Trevelyan.
it's
coming.
I don't I'm not going to speak to quality on it, but we are going to be getting those movies. Just give it a minute, and it's going to hit every
No,
genre.
because you know what all these kids want to see
one of those
now?
movies with cooties.
These kids want to see Marvel this.
Well, no.
Superhero
I don't even agree with that.
That
I
one
would
came
say
out,
I don't think that the horror
15 or
genre
16.
in many ways has not been replaced recently by the overabundance of comic book films.
I think the horror genre has been bastardized and killed by the fact that there's no imagination in the younger generation. And the reason
I don't disagree, but I'm saying that a lot of that was due to
directors
that have to appease to the younger generation.
That happened like in the late 80s. That's
The younger generation may be the ones talking about it, but they're not the ones paying to see it.
Look.
Some of them are.
My perfect example is Halloween Kills. That movie
is so much better than this last one, and I never thought I'd say that.
Right, but the last 30
There
minutes...
are people who are telling me that this last one was such a breath of fresh air after the second one, and I'm looking at them going, I don't really see your...
But here's the thing.
Like, I thought it was so bad.
What made Michael Myers so terrifying?
I know what you're gonna say. I
epitome of
agree.
chunk of full evil.
Right, the epitome of evil, right? Like, you know, I looked at...
But he became a superhero a long time ago.
Like Grindel?
Sure,
Is it
he became a
Grindel?
superhero because of a
Werewolf
supernatural
Grindel?
cult that gave him supernatural powers.
Yes.
And then we retconned that with the Halloween reboot.
Right.
And then he gets shot, he gets stabbed, and then he kills 40 people by himself.
Yes. Unstoppable, right. But
Right.
technically he was always unstoppable.
Right, but
I hear you.
Right.
No, I hear you, and I think
But
that
that-
movie...
How is a human going to take a literal knife stab to the kidneys and stomach and lungs and
No,
just get
not
up and be
even that.
like,
I mean, I don't know. How is he going to get shot 25 million times and go... I mean, I
My
agree with
problem-
what you guys are saying.
my-
I just always laughed at people looking at, like, Mike Myers is a good example. Michael Myers is... I mean, now we're starting to question the veracity.
No. No, what I'm saying is even the 2018 remake still had that sense of...
Mike, he takes a dude and removes his teeth from his mouth with a punch. All of his teeth.
Yes.
Okay, can we come back to reality
that
for
is-
a minute?
Right, but what I'm saying though...
He puts his hand through someone's skull like it is.
Yes.
I mean, how many people can do that?
I mean, Michael Myers can't do that.
And as we continue to spiral down this weird little rabbit hole,
But the problem-
I'm going to go ahead and just stop y'all's little tangent real fast and just say we've been going for almost 2 hours, so we should probably
We were
go
doing
ahead
good on time.
and plug the socials and give the audience a chance to get away from y'all's extra nerdy rants.
no, but they're great. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're so mean. Thank God Kyla's here to defend you, Mike.
Of course I'm mean.
My wife left a long time ago. Yeah, you are the devil.
He is
I gotta
the
tell you,
devil
Red,
from
if
the
you were
Bible.
ever the one like straight up bedazzled, like, oh, Zim, I've gotta tell, I'd be like, let's sit down and have a coffee, man.
I would just be like, yeah, that makes sense.
But really, though, it has been a lot of fun. It's always fun arguing horror movies with you guys.
Go ahead.
So I do have to just say, though, if you've actually made it this far into the episode, fantastic, especially with the, skipping video that we're having, which we will be uploading the full unjumpy video later this evening, just to make sure that you get it in time for Halloween. And thank you all so much, and do not forget, if you have not already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell over on YouTube. Yes, here. And then
This one's going to be on our side.
be sure to like and follow over on Facebook if you're still on the Facebooks, because
I love that he said the Facebook.
It's
I
the
love that
Facebook
for
and
that.
the Twitter.
And if
Yeah,
you
I mean,
want
that's
to be
what
able
it
to
was
check out
before
more
he
of
stole
our
it.
stuff but don't have time for the video of it, you can always check out the audio from all of our live shows.
Oh, it's even more chaotic than just
and
audio with no
interviews
context.
over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, and Stitcher, because
All the places that you
Reasons.
can get podcasts at.
and of course, David,
I just want to say thank you to you guys. It is always a pleasure being on Dallas Geek. It's amazing what you guys have done. I feel honored that I've been a part of this now, going on, whatever you said, 5 years for this Halloween special.
Yep.
It's a pleasure to come here and totally muck up your show. And, you know, I don't know how much I'm offering, but it's a pleasure. But check my show out, The Last Call podcast. Brian Scott and me, the coach, David Zimmerman. And,
It's the other
and we
side
are
of
available on
nerdy.
SoundCloud, iTunes, everywhere, talking about sports, pop culture. You know, one day we're going to have Brad on because he's an expert in the sports field.
When am I
Yes,
going to be on again?
I am very much into the sports ball,
Sports, go sports.
fantasy stuff.
And we
number
will
one.
have Mike Rookwood on because this is such a great year for the New England Patriots.
So I guess before we go, like last thing. Do we want to go over and see if we agree or disagree with everyone's pick? Just a simple yes or no, not a full tirade.
Go for it.
So how do we feel about
Halloween?
Yes, no,
Absolutely.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah, okay. About The Thing? Yeah.
Yes.
10 Cloverfield Lane?
Solid.
Good pick.
Solid.
Okay. The Leprechaun? It's
I almost want to
I'll give you a so-so.
If you're gonna throw candy at me, at least try to find the red hots in there. Come on.
It's your favorite Reds. I mean,
With that, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Until next year.
Let's plug our fantastic host one last time.
Madness Comics and Games.
Madness Comics and Games. Definitely, if you have never been here before, make it out here.
I swear
and if
there's
you have,
something
but
nerdy
it's been a
for you.
while, come back out. It's fantastic.
Thank you for
Board
letting
games.
us hijack your back section of the store for the last 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. As per usual, they have action figures, they have Funko Pops, they have Squishmallows. You're into statues, board games, D&D stuff, other tabletop features. They also have some accessories now, which I'm like scoping out some purses over there. So if you're into nerdy purses, what else? There's
And
comics.
one last little plug, because I forgot to do this at the beginning. Since we gave our friend Tom the shout out at the beginning of the show, if you want to go check out the Greyhound Rescue that he is helping out at today, that is Greyhounds Unlimited, which is greyhoundsunlimited.org. So go check him out, especially if you are a Greyhound fan, but if you're just a dog fan in general, always a worthwhile use of your time. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
But as always, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Brad, that's Mike, Kyla, and David. We are Dallas Geek, and until next time, see ya.